let me know. Hi there, Stephanie. Just let me know if you can hear me. Awesome. Great stuff. Okay, we've got a few more joining us. Great. Guys, I know the session is sort of on the later side, but I just want to quickly check in with you and check where you are. I know all of you guys are pretty much old hands at this, so it's not really a question of are you studying. It's not really a question of whether you're preparing for exam. It's really a question of what else do you need from me to prepare for the exam. So you need to let me know. You can either let me know now or in the chat while we're having this evening session. So as introduction for this evening, I'm going to just review where we should be in terms of the course. And then also I am going to revisit assignment 1 again, and then rework and re-chat through it again. So I know the first session, I went through it extensively. So this evening will be a good opportunity maybe for Q&A. And you can then let me know what it sounds like, or not sounds like, if there's any specific questions you have on the assignment. But I will also work through each question. So the first thing that I want to do, so just a bit of a review, where are we? So a few housekeeping things. I did send you the dates for the NSS. The NSS is National Support Sessions. The first one will be on the 10th, Wednesday the 10th. So keep an eye out on that. I did post the link for you, and I will send you another reminder. The ICE tasks are all there. They're available for you to be completed. Can I just get the indication from you guys whether you have started on the ICE tasks or how you're finding the ICE tasks? So you can give me a number. 1, they are easy, or 5, they sort of, they take a bit of time. Just a number. Alrighty, thanks, Stephanie. Awesome. 1, Amita. Okay, excellent. And are you finding the feedback useful when you submit your assignment, or when you not assignment, your ICE task? There is a little document that sort of pops up and becomes available that you can download, which is sort of what I call a quote unquote model answer. And it sort of just gives you a bit of a breakdown in terms of what the answer should look like. But again, all of you have different, different approaches to that. Anyone else? Let me just see who else is online. We've got Jenna, we've got Butle, we've got Amita, we've got Matthew. Any feedback from you guys? Anything that you, in terms of the ICE tasks, how are you finding the ICE tasks at the moment? Alrighty, thank you very much, Jenna. Great, thank you very much, Butle. Butle, it's all about how you approach it. If you use it as an opportunity to prepare for the exam by summarizing the chapter and by adding quite substantial content to your answers, then it's definitely a useful tool. But for the ICE task itself, for the submission, as I said, it shouldn't be longer than a page and a half. bullet points only. And if you do insert anything outside of the textbook, you can maybe just note where that source is, but you don't even need to reference it. So if you're using it for preparation for the exam, then absolutely it is a great tool to be able to use that, because it almost gives you an opportunity to summarize and pull out the key points of the chapter. All right. Thank you very much for that feedback. So let me have a look and see. So that's really the run up until the assignment is due. So we are sort of sitting in week 6, and we're moving towards the assignment due date, which is in May. As I said, the NSS, or the National Support Session, which will be run by Dr. Hini, he will run that session for you and take you through the assignment. So our session for this evening, I wanted to touch on the assignment again. I know I went through it quite extensively the first time, but let's touch on it again. So let me pull it up. So there it is. So what I want to do is just sort of give you an opportunity to ask some questions about the assignment. And you can switch your microphone on, you can interact on the chat side. So let me know, is there anything, if any of you have started on it, and is there anything that you sort of have questions on? All right, I'll give you a moment. All right. It doesn't feel like you guys want to engage this evening, so I'm not altogether sure whether you guys just want to sit back and relax. But I really need some indication from you. How are you finding the assignment? If you have not started with the assignment, that's also okay. There is absolutely nothing wrong with it. If you have not looked at the assignment yet, that's also okay. It's only due in May, and there might be other things that you guys are submitting. I know that research is quite a lot of work, and I do know that WIL is quite a lot of work, and I know that some of you guys are doing other courses as well. So I fully understand if you have not started on it yet or even looked at it yet. So saying that, the assignment is in the form of a report. It should contain. Right. No problem. Nothing at all, Stephanie. Yeah, as I mentioned, research it takes a lot of, dare I say it, research. It is quite time consuming. It's not difficult, it takes a lot of time. So I fully understand. And as I said at the opening of the session, you guys are old hands at this. You know how to pace yourself. You know how to structure your studies. You know how to be disciplined when it needs to be. So I'm not terribly worried that you have not started with the assignment yet. So what I am going to do, if I'm going to touch on a couple of things in a few of the chapters as they relate to the assignment, and so I'm not going to go through the assignment verbatim like I did the last time, because you can have a listen to the first to the session in the first our session that's already available for you. So let's have a look. So question number 1 relates to the 5 Ps. So let me pull up chapter 1 and let's go to that specific area of the chapter. Let me just pull it up for you quickly. Strategy definitions, historical, the nature and role of strategy. There we go. So Mintzberg, in his research, he came up with this idea of how does one look at strategy? How does one review strategy? How does one what's the word I'm looking for? How do companies approach strategy? So he did a bit of research and he looked at it and he came up with this 5-piece framework. And he could categorize every company that he looked at in terms of these 5 Ps in how they approach strategy and how they approach strategy development, how they approach strategy execution. Remember in the session that we had previously, I mentioned that there's, in your textbook and as you're busy doing this course, there's really 2 things that you need to hold on to. The one thing is the strategic management process. So strategic management, or the management of strategy, is a process. It starts off with identifying your strategic objectives, your strategic intent actually, and then that converts into a vision, that converts into a mission statement. Your mission statement then develops a set of strategic objectives, organizational values. You then do a full analysis of the external environment and internal environment, and based on your strengths and your weaknesses, what's happening in the personal environment, in the macro environment, what's happening in the industry environment where we use Porter's 5 forces. So based on all of that research, you will then devise a strategy in which you will then execute that strategy. So that's the strategic, and with that comes things like change management, with that comes strategic leadership, and with that comes organizational alignment. So all of these are different chapters that we'll be doing over this year. So that's the strategic management process. So that's the management of strategy. Then there are actual strategies. So the actual strategies we will be touching on in the second semester when we were looking at Porter's low-cost strategies. We'll be looking at Mayborn's blue ocean, red ocean strategies. We'll be looking at strategy for global competitiveness. We'll be looking again at Porter and his diamond of national competitiveness. And then we look at different strategies for innovation. So those are the actual strategies that an organization can choose from in order to execute their strategy, in order to outperform, outwit, outplan, perform their competitors within the industry. Or their closest competitors, or gain a competitive advantage, or deliver value for their shareholders. So always as you're working through these chapters, always take hold of those 2 elements. At the moment you're learning about the strategic management process. And this will continue right through until second semester. So the whole first semester is all about defining strategy, chapter 1. Chapter 2 is about understanding value and what does that mean, or sustainability. Chapter 3 is about strategic direction. Chapter 4 gives you the tools in order to analyze the environment. 5, 6, and 7 is an analysis of the environment using those tools that you were introduced to in chapter 4. If you go into second semester, it starts off with business level strategy. So now the options are there. You've done the analysis of the environment, now the options are there. At the business level, what do you choose? Low cost, differentiation, or focus strategy. In terms of your innovation strategy, what are they? What are innovation at the bottom of the pyramid, value innovation, red ocean, blue ocean strategies, and so forth. If you are looking at expanding your business and you want to move outside of your local market, how you can expand into international markets. So there's a list of strategies there. Then you have corporate level strategies. So business level is at a much lower level, and that is where you compete within the market. But at a corporate level, that is when you look at your portfolio of businesses, how do you structure that portfolio of businesses in order to attain a lasting and sustainable strategy over time. So those are your corporate level strategies. Now you've got 3 chapters of possible strategies you can choose from. One at a business level, one in terms of innovation, and one at a corporate level. Then you come back to the strategic management process, in which, and then also international competition. So you got literally 4 chapters of strategies to choose from. Now you're moving back to the management process, and it starts off with organizational leadership or strategic leadership. Who is going to lead those changes and the strategy? And then it ends off with organizational alignment. How do you align culture, business, processes, structure in your organization in order to best build a sustainable business over time? So hold onto that sort of picture in your mind throughout the year, that what you're actually doing is understanding and getting to know the strategic management process. And then you also learn about the handful of business level, innovation, corporate level, global strategies, which you can then choose from in order to gain competitiveness or build a lasting and sustainable business. Back to Mintzberg, Mintzberg's 5 Ps. Mintzberg pretty much had this idea that each company, each business, each firm approaches strategy differently. And he developed this framework to best explain it. So the first one is a plan. When an organization approaches strategy as a plan, it's a very thorough, thought out perspective. It is top down, it is structured, formulated. It's a very rational analysis, and it matches the internal capabilities with the external opportunities. Internal capabilities, actually that's chapter 7. There's a whole bunch of capabilities, and then opportunities comes from your macro and your industry analysis. So it's very much a standard sort of, here's an opportunity, here's my capabilities, let me match it. So an example would be, how does Apple match their internal capabilities with the external opportunities? So the external opportunities was tablets. They were very good at making phones. A tablet is just a phone that is much bigger. So they use the same capability of making a brilliant phone into making a brilliant tablet. They were not the first ones that made a tablet, but they definitely defined the tablet market with the iPad. So that is a good example of matching the internal capability with an external process. Position is slightly different. A determination of products and their position in external competitive environment. Position is really taking my product and now let me go out into the environment and go and have a look and see where I can find opportunities to sell my product to. So it's very much an outside-in approach. It's very much determined by the opportunities that are externally, who the customer is externally. Perspective, again, very different approach to strategy. Perspective is about adapting past strategies based on a collective experience and the way of doing things. It's a product of minds and ideologies of individuals, groups, and management. The strategic link between organization and its competitive environment is determined by how management interpret the internal resources and capabilities. Microsoft is a very good idea and a very good example of a company that follows a perspective approach to strategy. It bases its products and its product launches around a specific idea, around a specific concept of who the customer is. and then they structure their strategies around that. A lot slower in execution, but when they execute, generally they execute well, and they get the market share that comes with it. Ploy is a lot more short-term in nature, by its very nature. Ploy is about trying to outmaneuver and outwit your competitor. Outmaneuver and outwit simply means trying to move in one direction, and you feint in that direction. Your competitor thinks, oh no, they're going in that direction, and then you're moving into another. So it's almost like if we should say that a company like Volkswagen believes that that Toyota, which is their biggest competitor, is going to launch a hydrogen mass market vehicle, and they are looking at it definitely. And then what they do is they then release a whole lot of images, and they release a whole lot of leaks around the development of hydrogen vehicles and how it was not successful, and they're canceling the launch and all of this, all to give Toyota I won't say false information. And this actually happened, in which both was working. Volkswagen through his BMW partnership was working on hydrogen, and they've been working on hydrogen for very, very long. And so has Toyota, as opposed to battery and electric vehicles. So it's quite interesting that only Toyota has come into the market, and it has very low uptake on it. Pattern is just the consistent behavior over time, intended strategy, which means that Discovery follows the same recipe over and over and over again, the way they expand their business. They started off with healthcare, they moved into insurance, life insurance, then they moved into short-term insurance, and then they moved into asset management, and then finally they moved into banking. The question is, how are they going to expand their business further from here? But a very deliberate, very intended strategy that has a pattern. Each one of those extensions, or not bolts on, but each one of those extensions to their business was very specific and well thought out. So that's really the 5 Ps. Is there any comments on that, or any, is there any comments on that or questions? All right, thank you very much, Butle. Excellent, thanks, Stephanie. All right, let's have a look at shared value and inclusive business. So this sits in chapter 2. For this, please make sure that you read the article, the original article that I uploaded for you. It's available for you to have a read. And it is important that you read the original article around shared value and inclusive business. All right. I know that Lowenfenter does break it down quite well, but sort of reading it from the horse's mouth would benefit you. Shareholders versus stakeholders, dynamic business context, context as opportunity, bottom of the pyramid, embedding context into strategy, measuring and reporting on progress, integrated scorecard. All right. right, I'm just trying to find where in the notes. I know it's here somewhere. All right, sorry about that, guys. Let's go back to the question again. So the question is asking, provide a brief introduction of shared value and inclusive business. You have the article, discuss how you can utilize shared value inclusive business to embed context into strategy and evaluate the extent to which RxSalt is implementing shared value and exclusive business. So if you listen to my recording that I did previously around this, what I'm looking for is really a critical review. So on the one side, you give me the theory, but really a critical review is, here's the theory, step one. Here's my evaluation. So evaluation is essentially just, are they or are they not? That's what the evaluation is. Are they or are they not? So that's step two. Step three really is, should they? Should they? Should they have to embed inclusive business into their strategy? Should they have shared value and inclusive business as part of their strategy? Should they? And then you have an answer there. Yes or no? And then the fourth part of the answer really then is the critical sort of response to that. So yes, they should. Why? Yes, they shouldn't. They don't have to. Why? So both of those will give an opportunity then to then give the alternative viewpoint. If you believe that they should embed shared value and inclusive business in their strategy, it should be baked into their very business, into their culture, the way they do stuff, the way they do things. Then the question is, should they? Should they do it? And if the answer is yes, then why? Why should they do it? Why should they, this small company that operates with very few employees, why should they tell the market, why should they tell their consumers that they are this great company that has all of these amazing things that they do for the community and so forth and so forth? Ultimately, what you want to know is the real sort of base question, which is, does this lead to increased revenue? Does this lead to increased market share? Does this lead to increased brand value? And that's a tough question to answer because according to Porter and Kramer, when they wrote that article, it should never be about improved margins, increased revenue, increased brand value. It should be because it is the right thing to do. That is an interesting viewpoint because there's alternative viewpoints that says that businesses should not be expected to do the work of other agencies, NGOs, government. They are there to create value for their stakeholders through employment of employees, for relationships with suppliers, revenue for their shareholders, and ultimately taxes for government. And through them paying their corporate tax, governments should then redistribute the tax in such a way to provide for just and equitable society. It is not the role of organizations in business to provide for just and equitable society. So that's the tension that's inherent in this idea and concept of shared value and inclusive business. And that is what I want you to hold on to while you're working through this answer. It's a third of your question, it's a third of your paper, the third of your assignment. And I'm really looking for, this is, if you answer this question well, this is what's going to set you apart from getting a distinction for this assignment or just an average mark. It is really lies in this question. Any comments on that? All right, mission statements. Mission statements. Mission statements. Mission is putting the vision into action. So if you look at strategic, if you look at this chapter, it sort of starts off with this graphic. Stephanie, that's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly, obviously the theory, I mean, the theory should be a part of the answer, and the theory, I think, accounts for about 40% of the answer. So your ability to write out the theory in a cogent way, in a very sort of summarized form, because you're very much sort of limited by your word count. The question is, how do you, the constraint, the word count constraint, how do you put all of what I just said, all of that, how do you put it into a very limited word count? Make sense? Question 3 deals with strategic direction. Yep, absolutely. And that is what makes this assignment so interesting. And the second assignment for that. Well, the second assignment is a bit more straightforward. This one, because of this one question, does make it quite interesting, an interesting challenge. But that's what third year is all about. You know, if it was easy, it wouldn't be third year. So if we look at this graphic, you'll see how the interaction between strategic intent, vision, mission, and values. It's not the well, it is a sequential process, because strategic intent really is that overall, overarching sort of thing that drives organizations in a certain direction. So a simple idea is something like Google. So Google says that their strategic intent is to organize the world's information. Simple. But in there, that is such a multi-layered thing. The world's organization, the world's information. So that includes websites, that includes all kinds of information. So that includes information from libraries, books that are published, songs, videos. Do those count as information? Well, according to Google, it does. YouTube Music. So strategic intent is really that one thing that drives the organization in a certain direction. The vision makes it a bit clearer. The vision sort of gives it a name almost, so to speak. And then a mission is really the train tracks that the organization sits on. And the train tracks is what moves the organization forward. The values are the lifeblood. It's the things that drive behavior in the organization. If the business does not have a single clearly defined set of values, then people don't know how to behave. So when one then looks at the mission statement in isolation, one always needs to consider what the vision is. So let me get there quickly. So that's vision statements. and mission statements. So mission statements, how do you know whether a mission statement is a good mission statement? Some would say it's very subjective, meaning that if it feels good, then it's okay, short and sweet. Some say that it should be extensive. So when somebody reads the mission, then they know exactly what the business is about, why the business exists, what's its economic goals, what's its self-concept, what's its competencies, its competitive advantage, what customers does it serve, how does it view its responsibilities to its stakeholders. Very comprehensive. It covers all of those issues. If it covers all of that, now the question, if it covers all of that, then it might be too long. It might be too long. Although there are some companies that manage to fit all of this in to a couple of words. They manage to fit all of that in to a couple of words. So it does take a bit of time to perfect it if you want all of these elements in it in order to say, in order to, in order to say what you want it to say. So let's have a look. Here is let's have a look at McDonald's mission statement. So this is McDonald's mission statement. But McDonald's mission statement is prefaced by its purpose statement. So the purpose statement would then be something like the strategic intent. Now, if you look closely at the purpose statement, it has quite a bit in it, just in those few words. To feed and foster communities. I mean, literally like a few words can mean so much if you start unpacking it. Have a look at the mission statement: to make delicious, feel-good moments easy for everyone. So, what type of business? What is its economic goals? Why is this organization in business? To make feel-good moments. We don't know what those feel-good moments are. If it's McDonald's, it is feel-good moments around eating McDonald's food. What are its economic goals? It's not entirely clear. But if you say easy for everyone, you are most probably looking at a market share that spans the globe. So what is its economic goals? Be in every single country on earth. Simple. For McDonald's, that's simple. What is your operating philosophy in terms of quality, organizational image, and self-concept? Delicious. Delicious. We can unpack delicious. Is delicious healthy? Is delicious good? We don't know how they unpack it, but one can assume. What are the core competencies and competitive advantage? Not entirely clear. Easy for everyone. That could be a competitive advantage. And that definitely is a competitive advantage. McDonald's supply chain is the best in the world. Their ability to make a product that tastes like crap everywhere around the world is their magic power, which means that they must have a supply chain that backs that up. What customers do and can we serve? They say everyone, literally everyone on earth. They want to be, the economic goals is be in every single country on earth, be within walking distance of every child on earth, and it is everyone. How do we view our responsibilities to our stakeholders? That's not entirely clear, but then again, the purpose statement does talk about foster communities, to feed and foster communities. So here's an example of a mission statement that contains, if you stretch out the meaning of these words, it can mean all of these things, if you stretch out the meaning of these words. So when one looks at mission statements, there's always this tension between being short enough so that everybody in the organization can remember it, and being long enough to include everything that it needs to include in order to best describe the business and to best give the business those rail tracks that the business runs on to move forward. All right. Are there any other questions on the assignment? Are there any other questions on ICE tasks? Are there any questions just generally? I'll give you guys a moment to formulate that. You can either type it, or you can speak as well if you want to. All right, excellent. Thank you, Ethan. All right, I think it's a late night, I think, for you guys, as well as for me. So thank you very much for those that took the time. Thank you very much, Jenna. Thank you very much for those that took the time to connect with me this evening. The session is recorded, so you can go back to listen to it. And as always, we've got the WhatsApp group that you can access if you've got questions, and also you can email me as well. So guys, thank you very much for the evening. I do have a request from you before you leave. Can you please put your most creative emoji in the comment section, and then you can leave via the door. Excellent. Thank you very much, Bootle.